much. Republican Senator Ashley Moody of the great state of Florida, member of the Judiciary and Homeland Security Committees. She's also served as the state's Attorney General. Good to see you. Let's begin with that legal question about what the Trump administration is doing now to knock out narco-terrorism.
And thank you so much for bringing up this topic. You have always been paying attention to the number of Americans we were losing to these potent drugs. And just to put it in perspective, you gave the number during the Biden administration of 400,000 Americans that died just in that short period of time. And we know every year that was going up and up. It's skyrocketing. And why is that? It's because these drugs, the synthetic opioids, not just fentanyl, but the synthetic variations of that are becoming more and more potent. I remember as Attorney General, I was desperately asking the President, Biden, to think outside the box. We had to do something different. What was always being done was not working. We would have 7 people splayed out at a gas station that we had to rush in and try and save their lives, you know, here in Florida. I mean, it was happening over and over. And so I asked him, let's declare these cartels terrorist organizations. Let's take it a step further. This is so deadly. It's a weapon of mass destruction. We have to do more. Of course, that fell on deaf ears. So you have a president coming in and saying, business as usual isn't cutting it. We lost 400,000 under the Biden administration. You know how many Americans in the military we lost since 9/11? About 7,000. I mean, this is what the #1 killer of Americans. China knows it. The synthetic products are coming out of there. They know it because they're using it in negotiations with our country. Mexico knows it. And so President Trump's come in and said, no, we're going to declare these cartels foreign terrorist organizations, and we're going to take whatever means is necessary to protect American lives. He always thinks outside the box. What's always been business as usual doesn't work. We're going to try something new. And I think Americans should be proud of a president that puts American lives and safety first.
Well, that information, too, that you gave us on Biden and how you were begging him, basically, to try to come up with something new, that is very jarring, considering how many Americans we lost on his watch. Let's go forward with this. The White House is rallying behind Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The fireworks were live right in this hour yesterday. I mean, the liberal senators teed off. There were some exploding conversations during that Senate hearing that unfolded, and Democrats went hard at the secretary, and he was giving as good as he got.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job.
Robert Kennedy has elevated conspiracy theorists, crackpots, and grifters to make life or death decisions about the health care of the American people.
25 years, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing.
What you'd be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
I never promised that I was going to recommend products for which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you catch that number? I mean, that was so jarring yesterday. He was giving the facts on her. Vice President J.D. Vance, with strong words in the secretary's defense, posted this. When I see all these senators trying to lecture and gotcha Bobby Kennedy today, all I can think is you all support off-label, untested, and irreversible hormonal therapies for children, mutilating our kids and enriching big pharma. You are full of bleep, and everyone knows it. The president also standing behind Kennedy.
I didn't get to watch the hearings today, but he's a very good person. And he means very well, and he's got some little different ideas. If you look at what's going on in the world with health, and look at this country also with regard to health, I like the fact that he's different.
What that hearing was supposed to be was a laying out, if you will, of the president's agenda in terms of health care. In fact, that was the title of the hearing. It turned into almost like a wannabe impeachment from liberals toward RFK Jr.
Well, two things should not surprise us. Number one, the Democrats don't want there to be discussion or a review of different scientific viewpoints on what's happening to American health. Remember, this is the same party that during COVID was working with the social media companies to shut down any information that was being shared that wasn't what the government told you what was the truth and what was right. When I was Attorney General, we had to do a grand jury just to figure out if what was being put out there by the government during the Biden administration was true, and whether there were misinformations and whether there was something put out that was in coordination, that, you know, how they were trying to shut out differing viewpoints. And so what also should not surprise anyone is that President Trump backed Kennedy because he is, and keep with the theme we were just talking about, it is insanity to keep doing the same things over and over, expecting a different outcome. He wants somebody that will question, look, you and I, when we were kids under 2, how many vaccines were they pushing? How many were recommended? What was the government saying take? I think it's doubled, right? And so
well, I'm older than you are. It's definitely more than doubled
we need to
in my
question.
lifetime. Yeah, definitely.
It just needs to be questioned.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean we don't have mandates. It's just mandates does not mean we don't provide for and make sure vaccines are available, but let's question and readdress. And I think that's what he's trying to accomplish.
Look, I would have to think in the Senate, you might even know this, Senator Tina Smith, but she made a false accusation against RFK Jr. And it wasn't just the first time. Well, Secretary Kennedy was ready. Watch.
You went on Fox News blaming school shootings on antidepressants. You have no evidence of that because you have no evidence of a connection. And you want to talk about...
You're just saying something. You're just making stuff up.
You know, this is what you say, right? Secretary Kennedy, when someone presents you with information that does not fit...
I did not blame that shooting. I have no idea whether... I have no idea, and I never said that. You're making it up. You're twisting. Yeah, you are.
So, you know, the senator actually needs to watch the tape for herself. Here it is on Fox and Friends right after that Minneapolis shooting. Here's what Kennedy actually said. Watch.
We're launching studies on the potential contribution of some of the SSRI drugs and some of the other psychiatric drugs that might be contributing to violence. You know, many of them on there have black box warnings that warn of suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. So we can't exclude those as a culprit, and those are the kind of studies that we're doing.
Did Senator Tina Smith just maybe not watch it and somebody handed her a note and said, go after RFK Jr.?
And I think you're going to see them try to shut down the exchange of information about what is truly causing harm and deaths to Americans. And to have President Trump and Secretary Kennedy come in and say, as a government, let's promote exchange of information and dialogue on the issues that we are facing, the health crisis, the challenge that American is facing in terms of overdose and deaths. I mean, all of these things should not be shut down. We should encourage government to engage on the most challenging issues to this country and to Americans, and we should promote that, not try to shut it down at every turn.
Well, Senator Moody, we got to see a little bit of what you all are dealing with on the Hill as you lead up to a midterm year, and liberals seem to be just willing to make stuff up, some of them. It just is mind-boggling. Thank you very, very much for being in focus. Appreciate you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.